we go?
Well, Victoria, here we are again.
We are back.
We
So,
are back. Listen, we just been spending a few minutes prepping, and now I'm
and
super
organizing
excited and
ourselves.
organizing. Well, this will be kind of funny because we didn't do what we said we was going to do,
Well, this
which
is
is
a great. We are great case study, is what it means. Okay, guys. So no perfection exists here.
yeah, no, this will be really good. So what we're going to do today is we're going to first talk about our three action items from last episode, which was the shadow work, which I thought was really good. So the three action items were we are going to go through the shadow work journal and do a part a day. Both of us did that, so yay.
Yay for us.
The section, if I can talk, second action item was to notice when you feel triggered and then identify where that trigger came from and do a reframe, whether it's like a journaling exercise or whatever. And the third one was accountability. So I'll just confess right off the bat that I totally forgot about the second action item. Did you too?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even execute on it. It's so interesting how
Yeah.
we have all these intentions, and for me it's about creating the space and reminders, and again, accountability aspect of it is vital, so with ourselves and with one another, because I know that we use each other as accountability.
Yeah,
uh
well, we did do the Marco Polo regularly, so we
we
are staying.
do. That is a
Yeah,
win. We're gonna name
that's a
that.
win. That's
We
a
do that all
win.
the time, which helps in
Totally
terms of,
helps.
yeah, and connection. And
And I am sending you a picture of my 5 minute journal every day, and you're sending me yours.
yes, that is a win.
Yes, that's
So
that's another win. Okay, so let's just talk about. Okay, so the point was we were going to talk about if we did do it, what was the outcome? So we kind of went through, one of the fill in the blank exercises last time.
sure.
And I found these exercises to help me like get the insights. Did you find that too? Did you get that little dopamine hit of, oh,
Yeah,
that's why I am the way I
it's
am?
absolutely. So it's just awareness. Awareness is like,
Awareness.
oh, this is what's going on with me. And there's a connection piece.
Yeah.
Um, there's definitely, that's ultimately what I got out of it. I enjoyed it. It really makes you think and
Yeah.
pause where, okay, what is this? Where is this coming from? So um, it wasn't just like unconsciously writing something in. You really had to sit and reflect on it and make the space to sit in. And sometimes that uncomfortability for me. How
Yeah.
did you feel about it?
Well, I kind of it is uncomfortable, but you know how like when you start an exercise routine, it's uncomfortable at first and then you become acclimated to it. So it doesn't you kind of transcend it.
Yeah.
Like you're comfortable with the discomfort. So that's what self-examination exercises feel like for me is I'm accustomed. I put myself in that situation all the time. So I'm accustomed to feeling discomfort. I do feel slightly squirrely at times. And I do confess, oh, we forgot to talk about what we were going to talk about next week, which is I think we're going to talk about internal family systems. So just
We'll
keep
have to do
that in
it.
your back pocket. Um, but anyway, it was kind of challenging to reflect back to some of the things. Like it always goes back to childhood. It's like, when did I feel not good enough? When did I feel humiliated? And how does that affect me today? Right. And I think that's why we're talking about the triggers,
Yeah.
right? That's why
Well,
that was our second action
absolutely.
item, because that's when we get triggered, that's our opportunity to do the investigative work so that we can resolve that shit.
Absolutely. We all have these self-sabotaging identities. I don't
Yeah.
recall all of them off the top of my head, but and I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. And it all comes back to those self-sabotaging identities.
It
A quick
does.
Google will give you a list of all of them, but I feel like that is essentially where we go. And we have
Yeah.
to go to the place of a higher vibration, which actually leads us into manifestation and whatnot. But
Yes.
elevate that is like, I am worthy, I am lovable, these I
Yeah.
ams, and the power that
Yeah.
comes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like this is all flowing really well. If we talk about self-esteem, we talk about the shadow, which is really addressing those self-sabotaging parts. We're going to talk about manifesting today. And then I think it would be helpful to talk about how to resolve blocks as we do this work, which in my mind, I think it'd be really interesting to talk about internal family systems, because I had a really interesting experience with that on Wednesday that I want to tell you about.
Oh, I'm
Um,
excited to hear.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was
you're quite
really,
familiar with what is the Dr. Andrew, what's his name? Dr. Andrew?
you're thinking Andrew Huberman, but the IFS guy is Dr. Richard
That's
Schwartz.
right. That's right. Dr.
Dick
Richard
Schwartz.
Schwartz. He's actually
Dick
going to be
Schwartz.
at this conference that I'm attending. I'll get to hopefully meet him.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. I had no idea you were
The
doing that.
global exchange, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what you were telling me
Yeah,
about.
he's
Okay.
so I'm excited to jump into it just to learn more about it, only because there's a lot of I told you that Gabby Bernstein, she's the one
Oh
that
yeah.
spoke on it first and foremost about hearing about IFS. And anyway,
That's where you heard about it first.
yeah, she
Yeah.
spoke about it, yeah, at the last global exchange conference. And
Yeah.
that's the first time I heard it. And then you actually filled me in on it,
Yeah.
and how really we can identify in some of these different roles that we play internally.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much. So back to the action items. So I didn't do, what I think was missing? Okay, so we like to talk about, what are the action items? Did we do it? Yes or no? If yes, what were the outcomes? And I felt like I had a largely positive outcome. I felt like I got some insights, and it sounds like you did too. Um, and then the second one was noticing when you have a trigger and then identifying where it came from and reframe it into the positive. I did not really do that. I kind of did it. I had a very challenging client on Wednesday that left me feeling triggered, and I sort of did the work by accident. I did the second action item kind of on accident, but I wasn't intentional about it. And I think what was missing for me is I didn't really have a SMART goal around it.
Okay. Okay.
I think I might be a little more intentional when we set up our 3 action items for manifesting. I'm
Sure.
going to turn those into SMART goals so that I put them on my calendar and I know exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it so that I can get it done.
Yeah, it's making space. I can relate. I did not execute on
This is good
reframing.
though.
Yeah, this is great. Case studies, case studies. I did not execute on, I don't want to say I did not, because I actually had a call about a reframe today. So I guess that would
Oh,
count.
good. It
Yeah.
does
So
count.
I've navigated ending some relationships, and it's been
Mm,
pretty challenging. And what I realized after having a conversation with a friend is that where did I attach? Where did I make it about me, their behavior? That's typically when
oh,
I get triggered. How did I make it about me, who they represent themselves as? So any individual, we all have defects of character and we have assets. You can call them that, or you can call them light and darkness, you can call them whatever. But looking at somebody and being able to just hold their truth and their actions for what it is, it's theirs, and not as me owning that as a direct result of who I am. It kind of separates it puts space in between of like, okay, I can have compassion for you because you're clearly struggling with your own defects and you're acting out on your own defects. So, but I wasn't there yet. I was too close to it, too attached to
mm,
it. And for me, the ego gets in the way. So that I would say is where made space. Is like I picked up the phone. I didn't want to
mm,
stay triggered. So that's one of my tools, and I didn't want to stay triggered or stay in that spot because really it hurts me, and it continues to hurt me when I'm angry. We are the ones that are placing meaning in any moment, because any moment just
Yeah.
exists, right? If we
Right.
just stop for a moment, I love the thought of just stopping for a moment and really just listening to the birds or the sounds or whatnot. And it really just gives me this perspective of like, I am just currently existing. But the moment that I start to bring meaning or energy, like, first of all, what is the meaning and the energy that I'm bringing? Is going to dictate whether it's joyful or not. And sometimes, like, the automatic responses are negative. The automatic, you know, thoughts are negative. So that's how I combated my I guess my action steps was picking up the phone to get
I
out
love
of it.
that. Yeah, I could hear. So I just want to kind of recap of what I heard was, so you did get triggered, and
Mhm.
then I'm just kind of condensing, but it sounds like you kind of went through the process of how did I make it about me, or how did I, like, what meaning did I extract from it about me,
So
about
yeah,
self? Yeah,
exactly. I did make it about me, and it always goes back to those the self-sabotaging identities. I didn't
yeah,
feel worthy enough, I didn't feel lovable enough, and I started to believe that. And
yeah,
that was give I was giving away my power. This is not being
right,
done to me.
yeah,
Again, somebody's actions and what they do or don't do has nothing to do with me. How I
yeah,
respond is going to be on me. So I can
right,
respond to a what in a way where I'm triggered,
yeah,
because in a sense, like, say somebody says to me, I don't like you. If I believe that I'm not likable, it's going to trigger me because I believe
yeah. Let me
I
ask you
know.
this. Let me ask you this. So I kind of had that experience with a client, and I was very, well aware. She was saying, I don't trust you, and your voice is irritating. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What is it? Try to get curious and not take it personally. But I was triggered by that. Like, that did hurt my feelings, and so I almost had like the same experience as you, where it's like I felt triggered, I was taking it personally, making it about me. And the solution for me, like, so you said you picked up the phone, and you were able to process that. I did that too, and I also did a bunch of journaling,
Mhm,
and that kind of got it out of my head and
mhm.
onto paper and out of my body. And I was able to get back to that place of self-regulation. Is that how you felt after you picked up the phone?
Absolutely. I felt like I felt centered again.
Centered, yeah.
I didn't feel like I was off balance anymore, because
Okay.
what I was doing was like, all right, like I had to like, why does this bother me so much, right? Take any
Right.
situation. Why does it bother me so much? And
Hmm.
it's because I'm placing meaning on it. And what is the meaning that I'm placing on it? What does it
Right.
say about me? And the ego can get in the way with that. But if
Ooh,
I'm
the
coming
ego
from,
is not the amigo.
and it's so true, very
Yeah.
fragile little
So
thing that we
much.
have. But if I'm coming from a loving place, and knowing that this is not about me and who I am, and I can just show up lovingly and honor,
Yeah.
then I can detach from the
Yeah.
reality, somebody else's reality. I'm like, oh, okay. Well,
Okay. Mm.
I'm in charge of my
Keep it
reality.
moving. Keep
I
it
have
moving.
Yeah, so yeah, I think both of us had to process, and in
Yeah.
order to arrive at a place where you're like, wait a minute, this is not my shit.
Yeah, that's not mine. When I
Not my-
interviewed Khan, when I interviewed Khan, he gave me something that I don't think I'll ever forget, is when I recognize that I'm having the thought, to just go, oh, wait a minute, that's not mine.
Yeah,
I don't know why that hit me so deep, but I mean, that one hit home. Thank God. I got recognize, oh, wait a minute, that's not mine. And then be intentional about what it is that I want to create, which is what we're going to talk about manifesting.
absolutely. And I think that we can't help how we were wired with the way that we were brought up. We're always going to default back to that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very pleasant experience. So with that being said, though, we don't have to believe every thought that comes in our head.
Yeah. Don't believe everything you think.
We don't have to merge. Yeah, we don't have to merge with it. We don't have to act on it. We can meet it with kindness, love, and say, that's not the reality or perception I want to create today. So
Yeah.
thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Love you
So,
back.
but yeah, that leads us to manifestation, you know?
Okay, yeah, let's get into, because this is for
Yeah.
me, this is the fun stuff. I
Oh,
get
it's so fun.
lit.
I love,
Lit.
love, love it.
All right, well, tell me what manifestation, maybe law of attraction, people understand it in a bunch of different ways. How did the idea come to you?
So I believe I was like 5 years into recovery and I came across uh the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle,
Yeah.
and then I kind of just went down this wormhole with him and really started to incorporate some of the practices that he writes about. One of which consciousness, you know, and what that entails, and how we are alchemists, all of us, what we can create for the good or the bad. Um, and manifestation to me is, how am I utilizing my energy?
Yeah.
I know that manifestation itself could sound kind of woo-woo, but if we really want to get into it and break it down for what it is, it's energy that
Yeah,
we're
for
putting
sure.
forth. It's intentional energy. So for me, it's just like, how am I putting out intentional energy and aligning myself for the highest good and highest version of myself?
That's
Uh,
it.
that's it. That's
That's
it.
it.
So, and what I found though is the more detailed that I become, and the more that I am intentional with making the space in my mind, um, I have been able to manifest quite a bit in my life, and so have you.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I want to tell a couple of stories about manifesting.
yes.
But first, I want to tell you that I first learned about the law of attraction through that movie, The
Oh, The
Secret.
Secret, you did share with me. Yeah, you did
Yeah,
share
that
with
was a
me about
long
that.
time ago, and it came under
Yeah.
a lot of criticism because it was presented in sort of a materialistic way, kind of like, oh, you can just sit on your couch and meditate all day, and shit will appear at your doorstep. And I don't think that's not
That's
the
not how it technically works, but
that
okay.
is not the way. That is not the
Yeah.
way. Not as I understand it.
No.
But to me, it's the law of attraction, and I would agree with everything that you said, that it is energy and the way. And it's so interesting how science is explaining the woo woo stuff, right?
I love,
They are
which I
not.
love, because I'm all about woo woo, but now we've got science to back it, you know?
Yeah, that's like I remember when I was growing up, and I grew up religious, right? And it was like, oh, there's some things you just have to have faith on. And that was really challenging for me because I'm a science girl. I need evidence and blah blah blah. And what I loved about law of attraction and really studying things like quantum physics and neuroscience, it's really comes down to kind of the law of cause and effect, right? And I understood it as, everything is made up of energy. I took a chemistry class in college, and everything boils down to positive or negative charges, electrical charges. So everything that makes up our bodies, who we are, is connected together by positive and negative charge. And so we are literally attracting or repelling at the level of energy, which is thought and feeling.
Uh-huh.
Thoughts create feelings, right? So we are like these magnets that are either attracting or repelling, because
Well,
there can be polarizing feelings as well.
absolutely. And how significant words are too. Are you familiar with Dr. Emoto's experiment, with his rice experiment
Oh, is it the rice? Or I was going
and
to
the
thought
water
the
experiment?
water. I've seen the
It
water experiment.
too.
That's crazy.
Like, so I,
Yeah.
I I came across that years ago, probably like 10 years ago, and I utilized it with some of my clients only because I wanted to show the effects of what words can do.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
just to explain to our listeners, they have, so if you want to go Google Dr. Emoto rice experiment, he has 3 containers of rice. And within each rice for a month, he said thank you to one, you're an idiot to the second one, and completely ignored the third. After after doing that for a month straight every day, he came back and the thank you one was fermented and it was completely still white, and the rice actually had a pleasant aroma to it. The second jar, which he called an idiot, was completely black. The rice was
Oh,
completely black.
poor rice.
And the last one, which was completely ignored, was molding. So it was actually
Mm,
far worse, which he just wanted to make a point of, if you ignore your kids, look what it could potentially do, the harm that and the impact.
right.
If it's doing it just to rice, if it's molding, what do you think it's doing to your children? So it was really impactful, and I never
Yeah.
forgot it. So I even teach my kids, I'm like, choose the words that you are going to say out loud, very carefully. So now we have this
Mhm.
thing at home where I had a mentor teach me a long time ago, years ago. She taught me delete, 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 cancel, cancel, cancel. So if
Yeah.
I say something that isn't in my highest good, and I put it out, I'm going to try to delete it.
Yes, yeah, we do that too. That's so funny. I didn't know you guys did that. We do that
Yes,
too.
yes. And my
Cancel,
kids are
cancel,
doing,
cancel.
yeah, anytime we say anything negative, because words have power.
Power. Yeah, they really do.
And again, it's energy, it's what we're putting out there. So
Yeah,
yes.
that's like the whole Pam Grout thing. You know, she wrote the nine energy E squared, the nine energy experiments. I just had her on the podcast not too long ago. And that was
Oh,
her whole thing, is that our thoughts create our reality.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's sort of what manifesting is. It's being intentional about your thoughts and your feelings. And I kind of want to shift to the tools, because it's like, okay, oh, I was going to tell you a story about manifesting. I will tell you that I tripled my income one year. I was in this job that I hated, and I was in so much pain. A friend of mine was like, "Hey, do this journaling exercise every day," and I actually recreated a similar form of the exercise that our listeners can go and download from odatchat.com. Still, we're going to eventually put it all on its own website. But the so I started doing these journaling exercises where I was imagining, I was practicing gratitude, and then I was imagining it as if it already happened. You know, and it's so interesting to me because even like religious people have it, you know, like in the Christian religion, it's like if you go to Jesus, ask for, you know, ask and it's done. Right. And so we're supposed to be walking around and we're like, oh my God, it happened. You know, it finally happened. I did it. You know, I won. Those are some of my favorite little phrases. I did it. Yay, it happened.
We're here. I have
Yay.
$1 million in my bank account. It's here.
Yay. Yeah. I have been known to shut my door and jump around as if I won the lottery and play music, you know, just to kind of
I
get in the
love
mood.
that.
I may or may not have actually done that.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to kind of get in the mood. Um, but that's really sort of the essence of the tools. If someone said, "What is the tool to start practicing manifestation?" First, we have to decide what it is that we want.
Absolutely.
So
So
get clarity about what you
be
want.
very clear. And I think that alignment is so important here. Does it align with where you want to go, who you want to be? The more aligned you are with what you want to manifest, I believe uh, it gives it more power. So alignment to me is very important. Does
Yeah.
this really speak true to who I am or who I want to become?
That's a really good point. And I also think that when we talk about what it is that I want, I think it's important to think about what feelings are you trying to get from that thing. So people say, I want
Like that.
$1 million. And it's like, okay, what feeling do you want to get from that $1 million? Is it satisfaction? Is it the potential for opportunities or choices or freedom? Like those are all kind of different things. So, what is it that you want to feel after you acquire the thing that you say you want?
Right. And to act in that space, right? The practice of that feeling once you identify what you want to attract, which you
Yeah.
spoke about earlier. Yeah. So act as if
Yes.
it's already happened.
Act as if it's already happened. And it doesn't mean like I actually have done I've done this a couple of times. Like over the summer, I would take the dog out for a walk and be like, oh my God, my book is a world international bestseller. Oh my God, I feel amazing. And just walked around in my delusion, my positive delusion, my intentional delusion. And just felt, and listen, if nothing happens, I walked around for an hour feeling good.
That's right. And that's, I mean, it's all perception, right? So what are we consciously perceiving in that moment? And I'd rather be in a positive state of gratitude or manifestation or whatnot, and not merge with the lower vibration, which I'm guilty of merging with quite often, honestly.
Well, I mean, so that in that, I would argue that you are also practicing the law of attraction. I feel like, the laws of the universe were set up for our benefit, but we don't know how to use them, and we use them to our detriment because it's so, I mean, who hasn't spent a whole day worrying about something that never happened?
Oh yeah. I mean, have you had a day where you just had a bad day and just bad things kept happening
Yeah.
over and over? And you're like, what is
What
going
is
on
it?
right now? And
Yeah.
it really has to do with the overall state. And it's just life on life's terms, but you're in such a, negative place, that you chuck it up to, maybe I'm calling forth this energy, you know?
Yeah. And listen, shit happens. Things
Yes.
happen that are not our fault. And that's not what we're talking about here. There will always be challenges. But what we're really talking about is taking control back over our minds and our
Mhm.
feelings, because really it's the feelings that are attracting. And so for me, it kind of all boils down to what are the feelings that I want to feel. And in my mind, the money will lead to security and satisfaction, right? There's a lot of feeling like I'm living in my purpose. That is, and if I'm living in my purpose, what does that give me? It gives me peace and satisfaction. Like for me, it almost, or joy, like those are the experiences and feelings that I'm attaching to all the things that I say that I want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So all kind of boils down to those things for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's a powerful tool. And so visualizing them, aligning with them, and feeling them. But I like to always have something that is tangible. For
Yeah.
me, I love to make it tangible. So we've talked about this. I have a vision board behind me. I make one every year. Um, there are things on there that
Yeah. The podcast was on it.
the podcast was on it. The
Yeah.
podcast was on it. And I can't even believe,
Yeah.
and I just put it, I'm like, why not? There's a couple things on it that have,
That's
I'm like,
wild.
just something random. Like I'm like, I want a bike, I want a bike.
Like a bicycle?
Bicycle. I didn't have a bicycle of my own. My kids have bicycles. I wanted a bicycle. I put a bicycle on there. Within the next month, my neighbor was selling a brand new bicycle at his garage sale for $20. I got a
Oh
bicycle.
my God. You got a bicycle.
Yeah.
That's wild.
There's a couple crazy things that happened this year that I'm like,
Yeah.
but I will say this, the more specific that I'm becoming, the more
Yeah.
evidence that is
Yes.
coming to light for me. So I'm going in this year. I'm actually going to create a new vision board on
Okay.
11/11. 11/11 is my number. 11/11. So November
Yes.
11th, I am making my vision board for,
Oh, you have a very specific date when you're going to do the vision
yeah,
board?
yeah.
I thought okay, I was going to throw out 4 exercises and people can pick 3 for their action items. I think vision board should be one of the things, but you have yours set for
Yeah, I believe
okay.
in the power of numbers. So 11/11 is just really meaningful to me. It's an angel number. So
Okay.
that's I already have my intention of like, all
So
right,
that's your SMART goal.
yeah, so I am doing that. And I love that because I always get to look at it. I look at it all the
Yeah.
time. It's on my altar. I have a little
Yeah.
altar and
Okay.
I place it on there. And my altar is all of yummy goodness for me. What, candles and crystals and
Yeah.
all the fun stuff that I really like. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to utilize as something that is visual for me.
Okay, I love that. As an alternative to that, if somebody wants to do a vision board and you don't have like a box magazines or you don't want to print stuff off the internet, you could actually do it in Canva. Canva.com is a really great free, you can get an account for free and you can create a vision board there. And then I have heard of people downloading it and using it as a background screen on their phone or like
Mhm.
on their lock screen on their phone so that when they open up their phone, they see their vision board. So
I love
that's an alternative. Okay, so vision board. I'm going to offer the reinvent journal pages. Um, so I teach a self-esteem class called Reinvent. It's all about identity stuff. You're talking about, we, have these negative experiences and we identify with it. So this is and I think people that are like newly in recovery or trying on a new, they want to evolve into like a writer or a creative or an entrepreneur, I think it's important to, we all reinvent ourselves. So I created these journal pages. And so it's the practice of, and you'll be able to download. Actually, did you pull it up on your screen? I have it up on mine. I can
it.
run
I
through it real
do.
quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so it's called How to Reinvent Yourself, the Daily Transformational Journal Pages. So you write down the date, you claim your power, which means that you set a clear intention. And then you do the practice of gratitude. You just write out as much as you can about gratitude. And then you choose how you love to feel. So this is what I was talking about before about what feelings do you want to feel, right? So you choose how you want to feel. And then the third part is create your vision. So this is like you play wildly in your imagination and there are no limitations, time, space, money, whatever. You just, this is what is it that you want? And so you just write it all out in present tense as if it's already happened. And then number 4 was calling in your higher power. So whatever you believe in, if it's energy source, if it's God, it doesn't really matter what you call it. You ask for help, right? And then you list specific requests like help me to do this or find a resource, a person or whatever. And then the 5th step is let go of anything negative. And this is where you get to surrender all your worries, doubts, and fears. And you just kind of write it out. It's like an act of release, like writing it out. I am ready to let go of whatever it is. Yeah. And then just, be open to your guides or open to when you ask for help, then you start listening and paying attention to, like where is the help coming from, right? You have to pay attention. And then the very end of it is you set some action steps. And that's why we're always doing action steps on here, right? Because it's like cause and effect. That's one, I feel like that's part of the law of attraction is invoking the power of cause and effect. We take action and we receive an outcome. So
Absolutely.
that's sort of that's
Intentionally
what it is.
or unconsciously, I believe,
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Those subconscious limiting beliefs that we hold that we're not really aware of, that's sort of that's what throws salt in your game.
Absolutely. I think that it's really important to create this space to, you know, get out of your head and get it in your heart for this. Like, and
100%.
you need to get quiet for it so that you can hear it because the mind is loud.
The
The
mind
mind
is
is
very
loud.
loud.
So, but the spirit is quiet.
So
So
so to battle that noise, I was going to offer another exercise called quantum leaping. And this is an exercise that you do with a friend. So you and I are going to do this.
that's going to be my third action item. So
Okay.
I'm doing the vision board. I can start to do it, but I want to finish it on 11/11 then
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, honor
uh,
your
on my date.
instincts. Okay,
And
so let me tell you what the quantum leaping is. So this is something you do with your friend. So I'm going to message you on Marco Polo and go, oh my God, Victoria, I am so excited now that the podcast has hit 100,000 downloads a month. I'm so excited. We're reaching so many people. We're hearing amazing stories from people who are changing their lives and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to message me back and be like, oh my God, it's amazing. I can't believe it happened. And we finally did it. We win. Yeah. What
Say it out loud.
yeah, yeah. So we just act as if it's already happened. We have this conversation. It's like you're quantum leaping. There is another reality that exists, and we're just going to play there. And we're just going to talk about all the things as if it's already happened. My book has been published. It's an international bestseller and blah, blah, blah. And we get to work with all kinds of amazing people and do all kinds of fun things. And so does that make sense? The
Yeah,
quantum leaping
it's super
exercise?
easy. It's super
It's
easy.
so easy.
So the steps are to align yourself, feel
Yes.
it, but this quantum leaping, it just we're vocalizing it. It's done.
Yeah,
It is done.
it is done.
So this is
It
exciting.
is done. Okay, so we threw out a whole bunch of things. I think it is important to get clear first about what it is that you want and why do you want it? What feelings do you want to feel from it? So the vision board, whether you do it on Canva, whether you get a piece of paper and print stuff off the internet, whatever, a vision board.
If you
The
just
journal
write it down
pages.
too, I think that,
Yeah.
if you're not into pictures, just write it down. Use words. Make it pretty.
I saw a lady on I think she was doing a TED talk or something where she was talking about sketching it yourself, that it was more powerful that if you drew your own pictures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I mean, I would have stick figures. I'm not an
yeah.
artist.
Stick figures work too, but it like actually comes
Oh my
out of
gosh, that would be comical.
yeah, that might be kind of funny. Okay, and then so the journal pages, vision boards, quantum leaping exercise with a friend. What do you
I'm
think?
ready. I'm so excited.
Okay. And so we need to come up with SMART goals for these. So I think the quantum leaping thing, that's going to be like a daily thing. I'm going to start just bombarding you.
Polos.
Hello. So that's a daily thing, the polos. I'm
Well, for
actually
anybody
doing
that doesn't know, polos are a way to connect on
Marco Polo is the app.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's Marco Polo. It's I don't know, it's done wonders for you and I and our connection.
So fun.
Check it out.
Yes, Marco
I
Polo
know
is
what we're
amazing.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a video chat. So I do a video and I send it to you. And then when you have time, you can respond when you have time, which is nice because we're both super busy.
Yeah.
So
But
it's nice to be able to,
usually
I want to
morning.
see your face. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice for me to, I can see you, which is really nice. Okay. Journal pages, vision board, quantum leaping. Was that it? I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I'm
Oh,
doing
I did have one more visual exercise that you can do in like a meditative state, which
okay.
is the pink bubble technique that I borrowed or learned about from Shakti Gawain. I forget what the name of her book was. I think it was called Creative Visualization.
Really?
Yeah, and I manifested our last house using this technique. Yeah, it was crazy. So her thing is that you get clear about what you want. And then you visualize, like in a meditation state, you visualize what it is that you want and you put it in, you surround it in a pink bubble. Pink is the color of love, right? You surround it in a pink bubble and then you stick out your hand, like you actually stick out your hands and see the bubble and lift it up into the air. Or you just imagine yourself doing it, whatever. I like the somatic thing about actually physically holding my hands out and lifting my arms above my head as if I'm pushing the pink bubble up into the universe and the universe can work it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Now, so
what?
how are you going to make the space to do it? When are you going to do it?
Oh, I could do that in meditation tomorrow morning. But you know what? I'm not going to actually come to think of it. I'm not going to do that because I've been doing morning pages. So I've been journaling 3 pages every day. So I'm going to include my manifestation exercises into my morning pages. So I'll be journaling and you and I are going to do the quantum leaping.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe I'll create a Canva vision board to put on my phone. I think I'm going to do that. So I could do that Sunday afternoon, because then 49ers aren't playing till Monday.
Very important.
It's football season, so everything revolves around football on Sundays. Okay, so Sunday afternoon I'll do the Canva thing. Okay, so listen, if people have questions about any of this, we're checking the email address, selfhelpjunkiepodcast@gmail.com. There will be questions. I suspect we're going to have some sort of Facebook group or something at some point, but for now, just shoot us an email with your questions and we'll answer them on the next podcast.
And I believe we have the worksheet. So I know
Yeah,
that you're offering that. So if you want to follow along with the structure of our podcast, I would suggest just downloading it.
get
You
the
are,
worksheet.
yeah.
I'll put them in the show notes at odatchat.com.
And yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I want to know, like, what are your stumbling blocks? And actually, real quick, that will lead us to our next topic, which is internal family systems. I had an experience on Wednesday. I've been writing this book for what feels like forever, a couple years. And I reached out to a friend of mine who has been facilitating internal family systems work. And so I was like, hey, I feel really blocked. Can we do a session? And maybe I'll interview her, because she helped me to reclaim, like, I was like, why am I so adverse to, I really want to write the book, but then I sit down and I feel like I feel polarized, and I was describing it to her. I go, you know what? It's like taking two magnets and trying to put them, like if you put two magnets together that don't, like at the wrong side of one, they like slip off each other. Right.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. It's like, I wanted to do it, but when I sit down, I don't want to do it. And it's like, what is going on here?
Right.
And so she walked me through this whole process of recognizing that I had parts in me that are afraid to be seen. It's like, I want to be seen, and yet I'm afraid to be seen. And it's like a safety issue. It was, for my 12-year-old self, who felt very criticized and unsafe. And she took me through this whole process of like reclaiming that 12-year-old and unburdening that 12-year-old self, and letting her know that I'm an adult with resources and skills and power, that I can help her and protect her, so that she didn't have to, so that these protector parts didn't have to flare up to keep me safe by creating avoidance. I was feeling so much avoidance. That's the self-sabotage thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's the fight or
So
flight that kicks up. And why
yeah,
does it kick up? It's when we don't feel
why?
safe. Uh,
Yes,
so
that's
it sounds
exactly it.
like you have a tool to combat it now. Um,
Yeah.
that waking
It,
up to those parts and combating it with the reality of who we are today versus the helplessness that we experience as children is,
yeah.
we have to show up as our wise adults now and know that, all right, we're not 12 anymore, and you're safe to be seen, and you have no idea the impact that you're going to make with your book, so but I think it is scary for anybody to take a leap and show our vulnerable selves. But
Yeah.
what I have found with anybody that really stands in conviction with who they are, their faults, I find it to be so attractive. And
Right.
like, wow, like it really, it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
People that own their shadow parts and their light, and how do you
Yeah.
manage to get out of the shadow, and these internal wars that we have, and discussing them brings out the humanness in all of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's going to be our topic next week, because people are going to start practicing these manifestation tools, and they're going to come up against some blocks, which is totally
yeah,
normal. Like I've been using these tools off and on for a long time, and then something amazing will happen, and I'll be like, why do I ever stop doing this? Why do I stop
I
the
know, it's
practice?
kind of like working out, right? You're like, why did I stop? I feel so
Why
good right now.
Yeah. So I think there are parts that are
Yeah.
trying to stay safe. And that's what keeps me that's what the self-sabotage is. So I'm going to continue to work with this gal and reclaim, help my protectors relax, by, reclaiming those younger, I call them the littles, just the little parts of me that have been exiled. And so bringing them home through this technique that Julie does with internal family systems. So there's actually a couple resources I would highly recommend. The Rich Roll podcast, he had Dick Schwartz on and they did a demo, which was amazing. And the Tim Ferriss podcast, Tim Ferriss actually had Dick Schwartz on as well, and they did a demo with him. So these are two really amazing examples of what internal family systems is and how it can help, which is what we're trying to do, right? We're seekers. We're looking for ways to either practice behavior change or feel better, I think is ultimately what we're trying to do here.
Yes,
Would you
absolutely.
agree? Okay.
Yeah. To live
All right.
self. So looking forward to it, and let the fun begin.
Let the games begin. All right, my dear. I love you. I love
I
that we're
love
doing
you.
this. And I
Excited. Me too.
can't wait to hear from our listeners.
It's gonna be great. Thank you.
Thanks.